And welcome to the JDC West 2016 Marketing Case Presentation, proudly presented by the Ministry of Agriculture. Thank you to our judges for being here today. Shelley Lukasiewicz from CPA Saskatchewan, Kate Lockhart from EMCO, Nick Kochar from Refresh, Alana Cook from the Government of Saskatchewan, Kim McConnell from AdFarm, Michael Hoffart from Farm Credit Canada, Tiffany Stevenson from the Ministry of Agriculture, and Mohammed Tourshizi from Department of Bioresource Policy, Business and Economics, and the College of Agriculture and Bioresources. Competitors will have a maximum of 20 minutes to present. Immediately following the presentation, judges will have a total of 5 minutes to ask the presenters their desired questions. The volunteer timekeeper will show time cards at various intervals to indicate the remaining amount of time and will stop any speaker who exceeds the maximum time limit. No questions, comments, cell phones, or picture taking will be permitted at any time from the audience. The audience will also only be permitted to applaud following the question and answer period. The audience is banned from any materials that bear the name or symbol of a competing university, and we ask that the audience exit the room immediately following the Q&A period. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Deputy Minister and representatives from the Ministry of Agriculture. My name is Eric. These are my colleagues, Rachel and Stephanie, and we are Crown Consulting. We're very excited to be here today. Here's a quick overview of the agenda for today's presentation. Please feel free to follow along with us as we proceed. Now, Deputy Minister, the last time that we met, you challenged Crown Consulting to create a marketing campaign that created awareness on the misconceptions in the beef production industry, and also to engage and connect with millennials in order to promote the benefits of locally produced and locally sourced beef. That's the all-encompassing issue that we'll look to address today. We've also identified a couple secondary issues, those being generating awareness on the employment opportunities available in agriculture, not just on farms, but in the business field as well as the affordability of food and the food safety and the health qualities. So we're here today because we believe we have the best answer. But now before we get to that recommendation and that action plan, let's retrace our steps with a quick analysis of your current situation in pursuit of creating a campaign that generates this awareness and connects and engages with the millennials. So first of all, your current strengths. You're a leader in the industry in that Saskatchewan has the largest agriculture contribution to their provincial gross domestic product among any provinces in Canada. And secondarily, the food and safety standards which you are regulated and have to and abide by. And this is in contrast to some chains like Chipotle and A&W that source their food from companies that claim that they're better food or that they're naturally organic, naturally raised, although they don't have to abide by these same regulations. So it's an important asset, an important strength that we can leverage in our promotions in creating this awareness. Now, in terms of areas for improvement, one is the lack of awareness of the benefits of locally produced and locally sourced foods. And this is somewhat related to your focus on challenging the misconception that exists currently in beef production of the use of no hormones or steroids in the production of beef products. You've been forced to challenge that misconception with companies like A&W advertising that they use no steroids or hormones, when this doesn't necessarily mean that the meat is better. But in those ads attacking that, you've had to, in a way, promote the use of hormone injections in food, saying that's natural, that's a natural use. And we have some issues with the communication style of those advertisements, and we'll look to address that in our implementation strategy. Moving externally now in areas to take advantage of. One is the food trends and the changing food trends. So right now, 86% of Canadians surveyed seek out locally produced, locally sourced foods. They want to purchase those in order to give back to their local communities. As well, 46% of consumers look to purchase foods that care about that are environmentally sustainable, have less burden on the environment. Secondarily, the increase in the efficiency of farming, so being able to get more crops out of less use of land, less use of water. So this is a big asset, again, contributing to environmental sustainability. Now, in terms of threats, as I mentioned earlier, the better beef ads that chains like A&W are using, and the susceptibility of consumers to these advertisements proclaiming that they have health benefits or they're better beef because they do not contain steroids or hormones, when, as you've mentioned, this isn't necessarily true, but consumers seem to be susceptible to it because there is such an emphasis on health. Secondarily, the increase in imported beef. So these stores like A&W, like Chipotle, are importing their beef from outside sources, not in Saskatchewan. So let's take a look at your target consumer now. You've identified these to be millennials age 18 to 30. So let me introduce you to one of them. Meet Kayla. Kayla is 25 years old. She's pursuing graduate studies in environmental sciences. She likes going for drinks with friends, and she volunteers at a pet shelter in her spare time. Kayla is an empowered consumer. She cares about the food that she purchases, that she consumes. She seeks out locally produced and sourced food that is environmentally sustainable, and that cared about animals in the production of that food. Kayla can be a brand ambassador for you in the sense that if you generate and create that awareness with Kayla of the benefits of locally sourced and produced food, she will share that with her friends through word of mouth, and she can be an ambassador with that awareness that you create and target to her. So in our campaign today, we'll be looking to target consumers like Kayla, the empowered consumer. And now we've created 3 alternatives to target these consumers, and I'd like to introduce Rachel to present a decision criteria for these alternatives.
Okay, so after looking at your company's strengths and all the opportunities at hand, we've come up with 3 distinct alternatives to move your organization into the future. So we have come up with 3 decision criteria to evaluate these alternatives on. The first one being feasibility. Does this project fit into the $250,000 to $500,000 budget that you set out for the project? The second being connections. Does it appeal to your consumers? Does it focus on the trends that are relevant in the market right now? And does it have the ability for you to have the brand reach and engagement that you're looking for? And third, market capture. Are you able to capture that market that is being currently occupied by importers, such as being used by restaurants such as A&W? And our goal for that market capture is 3%. So moving on to the alternatives, these alternatives will all have an aspect of education, but focused on either health benefits, the innovation, or the sustainability benefits. Now, going into a little bit more depth of these alternatives. The first alternative of focusing on the health benefits. This would go about on a similar track as you were going in the past, focusing on those combating those misconceptions about the hormone-injected cattle. You may include comparisons with other foods, such as beers, or other grocery items that have natural hormones in them. Because this would be an easy strategy to communicate, giving you a lower budget, as this is what you're familiar with. But the downside to this is that hormones just aren't very trendy. They might have an association with some people to their preteen years. And so we'd like to move farther away from that area. And, but we do believe that this may gain you market capture of 1%. So the second alternative is focused on innovation. This would be building a campaign focused on your innovative technology processes in your agriculture sector. You'd be educating the consumer about how it's made with educational videos so that they can gain a thorough understanding. This would really attract millennials, as they are very tech savvy, but it will introduce a higher production budget, as the production of detailed videos of exactly how these processes work may be higher than what is feasible for your project. But we do believe that this could have a 2% market capture. So building on the third alternative, this would be a campaign focused on the sustainability benefits of going local. You would focus on benefits that emphasize how we are going to save resources, and such as oil from less transportation by sourcing your products within closer radiuses, land savings with less cows, with more beef with the injected hormones, as well as other energy sources. This would have a moderate production budget, as it is a new strategy, but we do believe that it will capitalize on these environmental trends and really connect with your consumer. We believe that this will reach that 3% market capture. So looking at the decision matrix, you can see that although the health benefit focus would fit into feasibility and gain you 1%, and innovation will connect to your tech-savvy millennials, we do believe that focusing on the sustainability benefits of going with local beef will really attract your target consumer of millennials. So our recommendation to you today is to live local. We want you to focus on how millennials can incorporate local purchasing in their everyday lives and really make a difference to their planet just in the way that they eat. This will achieve the objectives of educating and connecting with your consumers, increasing your online engagement, as well as altering the consumer perception. Now that I have let you know where we're going, Stephanie is going to come up here and tell you how we're going to get there.
So to move your organization forward with this Live Local plan, we have developed a 5-step plan to prosperity to move your campaign into the future. So looking at our first step of communication. Now it's very important how you communicate your message and what that message is actually saying. So as Rachel alluded to, we want to move away from discussing some of the negative connotations that can come with talking about medications and injections into your beef. And we want your consumers to be able to focus on ways that they can eat to make a difference in their community. So when you're thinking about your millennial consumer, you know that they're an empowered consumer. They can research all of this themselves, but they also like convenience. If you can show them how they can make a difference and how they can see those positive benefits just from doing little things every day, they'll see a huge benefit in moving forward with living locally every day. So with that, we'd like your messages to focus on animal welfare. Now this is one of the things that we have identified through your market research that is very important to your consumer. They have also identified that sustainability is important to them. So that's, as Rachel mentioned, looking locally so that there's less transportation costs, as well as supporting the local farmers and people in their communities, as well as knowing where it's produced. Where is their food actually coming from? And is there really a benefit to eating locally as opposed to looking internationally for your food products? As well as we'd like you to communicate career opportunities. There are many misconceptions around the opportunities in the agriculture industry, and this is something that can be identified along with the other messaging through all of various forms of media. As well, the career opportunities is something that you can really connect one-on-one with your consumer through the use of career fairs and events at schools, perhaps sponsoring something such as a JDC West competition. So now moving on to our second step is awareness and education. Now this is going to be where you really show your consumer how they can live local every day. And what we want your consumer to do is to make a live local promise. We want them to really make a pledge and make that promise to live locally and look to the Saskatchewan and Prairie provinces for their food consumption. So with that, we'd like to start with a website upgrade. Now this will have an option for your consumer to take that promise. So they're going to go onto your website and they're going to enter in their email information and take the promise to live locally through the agriculture industry in Saskatchewan. And what this is going to do is it's going to have a social media prompt. So this will have that aspect where they can share that they have done something great and that they're helping their community. Your millennial consumer loves to show that they are doing something good, and they like that feedback that they get from their peers showing that they are doing something great. As well, there will be a your local aspect where they'll be able to learn a little bit more about the food that they're actually consuming. And I'll touch on that in the next slide. Now with that call to action, that Live Local promise, it'll be connected to a monthly email campaign. Now this isn't going to be your traditional email. This is going to show up in their inbox as more of a Pinterest feed. So this is going to really connect with that tech-savvy younger generation. And what it's going to show is a lot of various different articles and images and videos that they can choose to click on, and that'll have easy connectability to social media if they want to share your messages. So moving on to our next step, again with the awareness and education, these are some of the media forms that you are going to utilize. So we think social media is very important with this younger tech-savvy demographic. And we would like them to implement that Live Local hashtag, which again will be connected back to that Live Local promise that they will be making. As well as you'll be utilizing it through your social media platforms to communicate those key messaging strategies that I previously discussed. Now we'd like to move on to native marketing. Now this is a way that you can really connect with your consumer because they won't feel like they're being advertised towards. So what you're going to do is you're going to sponsor food bloggers and key community members who are going to share the benefits of living locally and really consuming within their community. As well, you're going to look to BuzzFeed to create some articles and curate different video options for you that will integrate that Live Local idea right into the everyday kind of funny videos and articles that your consumer just likes to read without even thinking about. As well, we'd like to upgrade your logo to include the Live Local catchphrase, and that will be included on all of your packaged goods, as well as on restaurants that use your products in their menus every day. Now moving on to the Your Local. Now this is that aspect I mentioned about your website. What this is going to see is that on each package that has that Live Local logo, there will also be a code that your consumer can go onto your website and enter online. And what this code is going to show is exactly where their product came from. So they'll know where their beef was produced and what that farm is all about. The website will also feature farm profiles. Now this is going to have biographies on the farmers, as well as some fun facts that they may have about their farm or their lifestyle that they want to share with their consumer. Again, this is another way that you can connect and have that in-depth relationship with your consumer, as well as it makes them feel empowered about what they're purchasing and what they're consuming. Then moving on to our fourth step, Prairie Burger Week. Now this is a kind of a fun aspect for you to really get into the minds of your consumer and connect with them on that personal level again. What this is going to see is you sponsoring the Burger Week in the Saskatchewan area, and it'll be a partnership with local food producers where they're going to use your locally sourced beef into the fun burger option for that week. Now this burger will be served at their restaurant every day for an entire week, and there'll be fun promotions around that where your consumer will be encouraged to go out and try various burgers throughout that week. As well, the Live Local logos will be on all promotional material, as well as emphasized in the restaurants that are participating in this event. So then now moving on to our website, we can look at how this is going to integrate again and connect back to that landing page where your consumer will again be prompted to take that promise to live locally. So when they participate in Burger Week, they'll want to know which restaurants are participating and where they are located. So that'll be right on your home page, and they'll be able to see profiles of each restaurant and know what is in each burger, what makes it unique, and how each restaurant is differentiating themselves by producing and sourcing locally. As well, there will be an Instagram contest associated with this because, of course, every young consumer wants to know what they're getting back for participating. So what this will see is a gift card from some of the participating restaurants, and consumers will be prompted to share the burger that they tried on their social media platforms. And when they receive a high number of likes or shares, you'll be able to randomly select a winner to receive the gift card prize. So again, that just continues the use of the Live Local hashtag and really promotes to all of their friends what your organization is all about. So now looking at a timeline of how we're going to implement this. The first 3 months, we're going to see that awareness and education. This is where you really lay down the ground and create that platform for what Live Local is all about. And then in the 6 months, we'll see that your website will be completed and that your local platform with the tracker integration will be completed. So your consumer will be able to really see and connect with the food that they are purchasing. Then in the 1 year, the 12-month range, we will have the setup of the Prairie Burger Week, and they will be able to again have that awareness of the Live Local, And then we will continue that education through all your social media platforms and other media areas, and continue the use of the Live Local campaign into the future. Now, I will invite Rachel up to discuss some of the budgets associated with this campaign.
Okay, so we'll quickly go over the budget. We have allocated a salary for a communication coordinator to really develop all that education content and post it on social media. We've allocated $100,000 for the Burger Week, as well as $30,000 for social media. And I'd just like to touch on specifically the website development at $70,000 and the locator program at $100,000, because we feel that this is an aspect that will really make this product unique and be able to communicate to the consumer where this is being sourced. Looking at our forecast, we can go over this in the question period, but you can see that over a period of 3 years, you will reach that 3% market capture. So Eric will come up and sum up the presentation.
So quickly, we wanted to spend a bulk of our presentation on our implementation strategy, but we have some metrics to track how successful you've been. So please feel free to refer to those in the question and answer period. Quickly though, moving ahead to a couple of risks we identified, those being privacy issues with giving away the farm location. We wanted to ensure legal contracts with those before an approval by the farms before we did that. And secondly, a change in trends, farming trends, and to be able to adapt easily between those. So in conclusion, we want to generate awareness and connect and engage with millennials to dispel any misconceptions in the beef industry. So thank you very much for having us here today.
I just have a question. At the outset, you had indicated that you were going to deal with the misconceptions about food, that would also help to drive some employment into the industry. So can you tell me how this will this campaign help to achieve that?
Yes, in all of our forms of communication and education, with our email, Pinterest themed communication, we are going to not only focus on switching the misconceptions of the hormone-injected beef and the benefits of sustainability, really focusing on the sustainability, but also the misconceptions of what it's like to work in the agriculture business and how many options there really is beyond just the farming sector.
How are you going to measure whether trust was built between with the consumer and the agriculture industry?
So sure, we can go back to our performance indicators here quickly. So we wanted to, trust, we kind of measured in terms of overall engagement, I would say. If consumers are engaging regularly and they have some trust and belief in what you're selling and what kind of awareness you're creating. So we want to measure the locator use. So if consumers were using the locator and seeing where their beef has come from, we wanted to measure how much engagement there was across all platforms of social media in terms of likes, shares, retweets, enters into the Burger Week competition contest. We wanted to see job applications increase within a year, and of course a market capture rate, an increase in market share.
So it sounds to me like there's a lot of different aspects to this campaign and a lot of different moving parts. What do you think is really going to have the biggest impact on your target market, and what do you see as really being the main focus of the campaign to achieve your success?
We think that the most important aspect is that education of the sustainability of the farming industry and about living locally. So we think that just communicating that message across all social media platforms, through the email, as well as through other various media outlets will be the most effective way to really get that education across.
So the social media aspect you feel is that what I'm hearing?
Primarily through the website and the emailer,
Okay.
as well as the social media will reinforce those messages.
Even though we discourage this advertisement game, you have a variety of tools here. You present us a variety of tools to
Well, we hope that with the advertisement of sustainability and really the communication of all the aspects, we hope that A&W will be able to redefine what better beef means to them. And instead of using imported meat from Montana or Australia, they will look into Saskatchewan, and you'll be able to capture that market share from those imported locations.
Could you expand a little bit more on the risk as it relates to trends and your tactics for
Yeah, absolutely. So just in terms of, we identified that in the past 10 years there's been trends with staying away from carbs or sugar. So right now the trend in food seems to be, from your market research, locally produced or sourced food. And so we're considering that there is some risk that we want to spend most of our communication time on that now, but within 1 year there might be more emphasis on sustainability and growing less with more, with less use of land and water. So we want to be adaptable in our communication strategies, in what we're communicating in these email across social media as to what our consumers are caring about.
And just to add on to that, in the communication through the email list as well as social media, an example of some sort of content could be recipes that you could use to incorporate the local beef into your diet, and we will definitely be adapting those food trends into the strategy as they evolve.
So you talked about not talking about the hormones in this campaign and stuff, but we have clear evidence that hormones will actually have a positive effect on sustainability or the use of hormones. So why would you not elaborate on that as part of this?
We would like to elaborate on the benefits that it brings, so the end results of using less land and less energy, but we do not want to use hormones as the word we use to connect with our consumers, because we do not believe that that is the content that your millennials are looking to hear.
But the cabbage versus the cow is a pretty good visual.
Sorry, can you
The
repeat?
cabbage versus the cow is a pretty good visual for them to use.
Uh,
I'm not sure why you would abandon that.
We just determined that the use of hormone injections in your current promotional campaign just wasn't the right style of communication that we wanted to target millennials. So we wanted to change that aspect.